Hello everybody and welcome to my presentation. My name is Bill Parsons and this presentation is all about having a student-centered classroom. How many of you are teachers? Wow, all right, great. I was just in doing a workshop and it was all tech people. How many of you are English teachers? All right, well, we're all together. I'm an English teacher too. And so I'm going to show you some of the things that I've been doing to get my classroom more student-centered. I don't think of myself as a very technical person, and the stuff that I've done over time has been, a lot of things that I do are pretty low-tech. But I've found that the magic that you get out of Google is being able to have artifacts of student work that is also, and to have those artifacts be accessible to the students. So now when students are reviewing for a big assessment that we've got coming up, they can refer back to things that they've done together or individually. I work at North Broward Preparatory School. It's a small independent school in Coconut Creek, Florida. I have 75 seniors in IB English higher level. Last year I taught our non-honors students, so I get a nice range. And I found that this suite of tricks works really well with has worked well with both of those populations. I also teach a creative writing course with about 25 students in it. And I also use use the Google Suite a lot when I work with that. So I hope you enjoy some of the things that I show you, and I hope that maybe having the opportunity to play along a little bit will let you see how it works. Another quick poll: how many of you use Google Drive pretty regularly? Holy Toledo! What are you doing here? You don't even need me. Are you looking for ways to share things? Is that why you're here, or did you? Anybody? Yeah. Okay. Okay, yeah, keeping stuff organized. Okay, the solution is here. Have you heard of the Doctopus script before? All right, by the end of today, I hope that you will know it and be able to use it and your organizational woes will be over. Anybody else? Yeah. It's really funny that you asked that. I was using Google Class Rosters at the beginning of this year. And a friend of mine said, hey, why don't you use Google Classroom? And I said, well, because I already started using Google Class Rosters. What I found, as I was preparing I gave a workshop like an hour ago, and as I was preparing for that, I said, okay, well, let's see what's going on right now. And I realized now Google Class Rosters is obsolete. It really doesn't work anymore. I mean, it works, but I would not counsel other people to use it because when it says that it's, when you go to get that add-on, it says not supported because they updated Google Chrome. And I think with any of these technologies, there's always going to be a next best thing. The other thing I discovered was I was going to talk a little bit about Flubaroo, but then when I looked, somebody said, oh no, there's something even better than Flubaroo. So I found this new great thing, and it really is a little bit cooler. So I showed people that in my previous workshop. If you submitted your Gmail account, I will share this presentation with you directly, so you'll get it in your email. If you didn't, that's okay, because I will, I'll share the link to the FETC site. So if you need it, you'll be able to access it. All right, well, let's begin. I'm going to show you my classroom. I'm going to do a little bit interactively with Doctopus and Gubrix, and I'm going to show you what Super Quiz is, but we're not going to do anything with it because we'll be out of time by then anyway. Here we go. All right, so my classroom. At the beginning of the year, people were saying, oh, everybody's got to make a class website. So I looked at and started to think about making a class website, and I started making it, and then I said, okay, well, I'm going to link this document to it. And actually, I ran my class with a website last year, but I realized I don't use any of the other pages on this class website except for this one. So here's this one page and how I use it. We call this page we call this page the Sunday Post in our school. The reason I have this meta link, it's the link to this document, which is right there anyway, is because I have to post a static version of this document through the school system so that all the parents get an email with a static thing. Of course, I change everything all the time, and the students never go to that email to find out what we're going to be doing in class, because I also gave them, they've got it on their phone all the time. I asked them to make it a favorite in their Google Drive. So take out the Sunday Post and you'll know what's up. So what do we do this week? Well, Monday we didn't have school, but my students have these things called individual oral commentaries, which is a horrible procedure where I sit in a small room and listen to student after student after student talk about the 3 works that we did for the detailed study of the IB English assessment. And I've been reminding them, look, you've got to check these out. But what I also do is I include links. So here is a link to the Seamus Heaney. Seamus Heaney is a poet, and he's the guy we've been studying. So that document has the poems in it, and it's also got resources in it. And it's also got links to the class annotations of those different poems, so the students can always come back to the stuff that they've done previously in the class. One of the things that I used to find in my classrooms was I'd have students do something in groups. They do group work, and they'd give me some paper. What is that? They'd give me paper, and then I'd take the paper, and then I'd check people off for doing the paper. But then in the end of it, maybe, if I gave them the paper back, they'd lose it right away. And if I didn't give them the paper back, then they didn't have it right away. So they would have no idea of what they had done. They wouldn't have any way to remember it. Well, now that they're working on their computers, these annotations are not static documents that sit somewhere. They're in a place where everybody can see them all the time. And I'll show you how that works. The other thing is that I can ask them to do things. So today, period 1 has 1, 3, and 5 have already happened, and and actually period 5 is just starting right now. So this is what they're supposed to be doing right now. I'm going out on a limb here because we can't know for sure. Oh, but here they are. All right, so here are my students right now working on this thing, and you can see that, okay, so I've got Eric over here, he's doing this, and I've got Chase over here, and he's doing that. So they appear to be doing what they're supposed to be doing. And I'm just going to say hello to them because I think they like to. Hi guys. You're on TV. Right? I mean, there's a TV there. So here they are. Yeah. All right. No, you're really famous. All right. So these guys, what they're doing is an exercise with Shakespeare's The Tempest, and they are. I want them to get a sense of the personalities of these different characters and how they change. So you got this monster Caliban, who is one way at first. He's cursing his actual master. Later on, he's doing something totally different. What are they saying? All right. There are at least 11 people here making fun of you. All right. So anyway, I gotta get out of there. All right. So anyway, that's the activity. Now, the nice thing about this activity is that these guys all have edit privileges, but you noticed, or you may have noticed. All right, go away. That's inappropriate. All right. So There's the work that was done in first period and third period, and the work that will be done in seventh period, all of that is still there. So those presentations are all complete. They're all here. They're all living in the students' Google Drives. And I can also provide links to them in some centrally located place, sort of, okay, if you're going to review for the Tempest, here's one place you can go. And that's all there. And they say, hey, not only is it, this isn't a summary that, like this is about student-centered, right? This isn't my summary. This isn't my notes. This is their notes. These are the things that they discovered. And I can come back and I can talk to them about what they produced, and they can change things or not. But they have access to their own work all the time so they can see what they've been doing. So that was using Google Slides. You can use it with documents as well. Yeah? Oh, they can do whatever they want to each other. So it's about one of the things that has to happen, like those comments, you saw them, right? So they're not necessarily, there's no guarantee that they're going to be serious all the time. There's no guarantee that they're going to be polite all the time. There's no guarantee that they're ever going to be, come up with exactly the things that I would like them to come up with. So that's a risk that you take when you start to turn things over to the students. But I kind of like being able to come over here and talk to people and be on TV instead of having to be on top of them and know that, they're really going to do stuff. Yeah. Yeah, well, usually students aren't working on them for a long period of time. Like this is just a one-time thing. They're not going to come back to it and do things. But I can look and I can see, okay, well, hey, James, you didn't do anything today. That's too bad. Or better, hey, Dean, look at all these contributions that you made to this class, and they were really good. I mean, especially when the students need a boost, that's a pretty good way to get it, and finding those little successes, and they're public. That's the big thing that I like about it so much is it's public. All right, so that's what they're doing today. Tomorrow they're going to be working not in groups but individually, and they're going to be making blog posts. Now, the purpose of doing that of using blogs was I wanted students to have an opportunity to reflect on and talk about the literature in a way that they could own and that would be creative and that would allow them or give them opportunities to use more than just words, that would give them chances to use a variety of different media. So what I was finding though, with these students who are in the higher level English class, they're words kids, and they like to write, that's where they're comfortable. So I was having a hard time getting the kind of creativity that I was looking for from some of them. Nevertheless, I did have some examples, so I shared them, and I republished this last night to sort of remind them of some things that work well. And so the other thing I did was remind them that there's my blog. And Blogger is a pretty good tool, and it's part of the Google suite that kind of helps. So here's what I've got. I've got all of my classes, all my students in all my classes are linked on the side here. This is called englishwithparsons.blogspot.com. And then, these are something, when somebody does something cool, I'll post it up as the blog of the week. So here's Isabella. She's really good. So her blog is called The Tragic Squid. And I can follow this link to it. So now I'm not in my blog, I'm in her blog. That was an old post, so here's what she's been doing recently. She included somebody's version of The Tempest in here. She's got a video clip and she's got a little comment about it. She selected a scene that we had acted out in class. I haven't actually seen what she's done so far, but that's what she's got up there. This is another one that she wrote, and then she's got it illustrated with this really neat design that she created. And then Oh, that was a fun one. Anyway, so every student has different things that they've done creatively, and they can talk to each other about what they've done. So in addition to having their work published for other people to see, I also set aside time so that they can read each other's blogs and comment on each other's work. So it gets a little bit away from this idea of, okay, I got to write this, I got to do this thing for the teacher. Now I'm going to do this thing, and other students are going to have to read it because it's going to be part of the class. So instead of doing their performance or putting the assignment up for me, actually I was in this room last year, and the presenter, Gene Cheresky, said, when students do something for you, they do it so that it's good enough. When they do it for each other, they do it so that it's good. Often. Sometimes not. But in this case, and if I had a wider audience, I mean, what I've hoped for a long time to be able to do is get from, okay, I've got my little blog and my students share with each other. I want to get beyond that to, okay, I got my students sharing with each other and with some other school somewhere. And I know that that can be done, and I've heard about people who are doing it, and I'm just, I'm looking out there for the right, actually not the right from anybody. So, hey, if you're English teachers and you want to do some blogging with me, let me know, because maybe our classes can share. But anyway, so that's what they're going to be doing on Friday, is composing a new blog post. And those activities are designed to get them to know more about The Tempest, which they have to talk about in their oral conversation, or to write about those Seamus Heaney poems, or to do something with a Mercy, which is the other work that we're doing. So that's what's up with that. Also on this sheet, I've got a schedule to this schedule here is the entire year. So I've sort of mapped out my whole course, and if students want to know what we're going to be doing in April, well, that information is on this link. I'm very proud of that. I've never been able to do that before. I hope I can do it in the future too. This is my 23rd year of teaching or something, so finally I'm able to do that. The other thing I have is, students sometimes don't know when they're supposed to go places or what they're supposed to do. So this schedule is, okay, when they do this is the order of people. This is when they're going to be doing their oral interviews. So I got these schedules laid out for them, so that they can't say, oh, I didn't know. Well, I mean, they can say they didn't know, and they would be correct if they don't show up when they're supposed to. But at least I'm getting the information out to them. And it's in a central location. And all of those things, notice, are on my weekly plan. So, everything they need to know for what they're doing this week is here. And that's why I sort of ditched the idea of making a Google website, because I figured I couldn't find enough stuff to put on a website to justify having a website. Although I can think of some ways that I do it, but the thing is, I'm too busy, teaching to make that other stuff happen. All right. So would you? I'm checking my clock here. All right. So here are a couple other things. So I've got that weekly schedule. You saw the students' blogs, and now this is taking us into the realm of which people wanted to find out about how you can use Google Docs and manage them with students, right? So I used Google, this thing called Google Class Folders, which doesn't work anymore anyway. But what it does is I populated these fields: first name, last name, email. The Google Class Folders app populated all the rest of this stuff and generated a bunch of folders for the students. So every student got a folder called the assignment folder. Everything in that folder belongs to me and is shared with the student who has editing privileges. So if I want to find a student's essay, I go to that student's assignment folder, and that's where it is. Or I just go to Google Drive and I search for it, because I own the document. I own the document. And that's sort of the big shift from asking students to submit work to creating the template where they submit it, and then they don't submit anything anymore. They just do it. And ready or not, I can see it in any moment. Just like those, when I was on the little PowerPoint, or not PowerPoint, the Google Slides that they were making. When I was there, they were in the process of working, and I can look at their work and see it as it's in the process. So it creates all these folders. Now, it's not particularly relevant that it has made those folders because, like I said, there's now the Doctopus add-on does all that work. So you don't need this thing called Google Class Folders anymore. Okay, fine. But the principle remains the same. Google Class Folders now creates those, the Doctopus add-on creates all those folders, and all that stuff gets taken care of in a very similar way. So here's a collaborative document. It's not actually completely collaborative. I added, see, one of my students is there. I guess he finished what they were doing with the Tempest, and now they're looking for something to write about. So you'll notice that on all of these I added links, including notes from different classes. So the students one day annotated this poem, and their notes are still here on the side. So they can go back and review the poem and see all the different things that were on it. Now that is distributed in a folder called the View folder. So there's a class View folder. Everybody can look at it. Some students in some classes had write privileges on certain poems, and that's why this particular document is now the one that they wrote. They can still write on it. Everybody else has view privileges. But I think that what is probably more interesting is looking at individual essays. So here's an essay assignment. This was created using the Doctopus script. And you'll see the names, the email addresses, and then a bunch of other stuff that I don't understand very well. And then, oh my goodness. All right. And then over here, we can see this actually tells us what they did. So this is a link to the essay. Now I can get to that essay just by going into my Google Drive and searching for it by typing in the student's name, or I can click on the link here. This also tells me some stuff. I can eyeball and see some other things about it. So this is, these essays are all most are between 1,000 and 2,000 words. I know how many times they've been revised by the students. I know how many comments I wrote on their essays, some more than others. And then I also know how I scored it, because I used this script called Gubrix. And so these were the rubric levels that each student achieved. And that was their average, which I converted into a letter grade. Here's an example. So come on. Okay. So here's Georgie's essay. Once he completed it, then I gave him comments, and then I submitted a rubric, and he gets to see where he was hitting on that rubric. So he gets the combination of the rubric scores along with the comments that I put on the sides. And I can find every single student's, I can find all of their essays, or I can find everybody's in a given class. So that's how essays work. And now we might as well do something, because I guess it's time. So I wanted to show you how the Doctopus works. So we're going to do that right now. So the first thing that I've asked is create a template assignment. So I made one. And the assignment is called this: what's your favorite thing about attending FETC? So I want everybody to write an essay about that. You could write free t-shirts. That would be totally acceptable. Because free t-shirts are nice. So anyway, I've got that already created. The second step is to open up a brand new spreadsheet. So I'm going to click on that. Now, what I've got is the results that you sent me. So this is, and now I've got all your emails. So if you answered that little survey, I've got your information. And I hate to do this, but I'm not gonna distribute to everybody on the list, because if I did, I think it would it'll make things a little bit too, it'll go too slowly. So I'm gonna take my first 5. My boss told me to attend. You know what? That is a very good reason. That's a very good reason. All right, and now I have to make a new spreadsheet, so I'm going to go here and create a new spreadsheet. And we're going to call this favorite thing at 1 o'clock for FETC. By the way, thank you for coming during lunchtime. All right, so I've got this new thing, and now we're going to go, this is the tricky part, and this is what well, there are a few tricky parts, but this is where we start to get fancy. So we go to our add-ons. Now sometimes you've got to get add-ons. So if I clicked on this get add-ons, I'd enter Doctopus. But since I already got it, I go right here, and I'm going to launch it. Boom, blast off. As it launches, then I'm going to be able to populate it with things. So the first thing it says is select a roster. Well, I have to build a new one, so I'm going to do that. And then the method is I'm going to do it right on this sheet. So I click there. And I click on Create Roster, and now it's going to generate the headings in all these columns. And now I'm just going to paste all that stuff in here. So I've got everybody's email, everybody's, I call it last name, and I'm going to, everybody is going to be named A as their first name, just because. So, and we're going to set the roster name. So this is called Lunch at FETC. Am I making people hungry yet? And I'm going to say create class folders. Now what that does is, woo, all of a sudden, you guys are going to get a bunch of folders for this class. You can delete them later on. It's not going to hurt. But you will find, so anybody that in those first things is in their Google Drive is going to find a bunch of, a couple new folders. Those new folders, if it's a class, those new folders will be used repeatedly. So it's going through that process. You'll see that these folders are being created now, and they're going to be done pretty quickly. That's why I only did 5. If I'd done 25, it would have taken forever. But as soon as these are done, then it'll let me share out the document. Once I share out the document, people can, it'll be distributed, an individual copy to each of those students. Great. Okay. All right. So now we're going to select the kind of sharing. You can, for this one, it's going to be individual all the same, but you can also give assignments to specific groups. You can give something to the whole class that they can edit, or you can give things to individuals and tweak the assignment for each individual student. I've never done that before. What I almost always do is use the individual all the same thing. So we're going to do that, and then we're not going to give anybody else access. We're going to allow everybody to edit. The editors are not going to change the sharing permission. We don't have any co-teachers or anything like that. So then I just hit save and continue. All right. And then there's a folder here called Teacher Lunch at FETC, but rather than put it there, I'm going to pick a different folder because I already made my thing in a different folder. So these are all the folders that were created already, these things that are called Lunch at FETC. But I've got a folder called FETC 2015. And that's my folder where I find it, and this is my document. So I've said, okay, this is the folder that I want. So I select this folder, and then it goes into that folder and it finds the document that I'm going to share out with everybody. Maybe if I don't look at it for a second, it'll finish doing what it's trying to do. No such luck. Does anybody have any questions about how it works? I'm sorry, yeah. Yeah, it's usually much quicker. I'm gonna try a slightly different approach here, just because I've got this thing right here called favorite thing, and I'm just going to move it. It's asking for it to be in this folder called Teacher Lunch at FETC. So I'm going to move this document, which is my template, into that folder. Which is called Lunch at FETC. And it's called Teacher Lunch at FETC. So I'm just going to move it there. So now it's where it hopes that it will be, and so now I can choose that folder, and now I can select a file from that folder. All right, and if it doesn't work in like 2 minutes, then I'm just going to do it, and those people are the only ones who get to help. Okay, here it is. Good. So I'm going to save and continue. That'll distribute it to the different, after following a couple of quick protocols, that'll distribute it to the other people, and then those 5 people will be the owners of their documents. Then I'll have the ability to go and read all of their stuff and evaluate it. So I'm going to create this new folder. I'm going to name everything by last name. And I'm going to just put a little apostrophe there, and I'm going to send that sharing notification. I'm going to say enjoy here, and then we share and continue. Now what? Now what? I think I right-clicked when I should have left-clicked. Anybody know how to do what to do when that happens? 5 minutes left. Okay, there is no way I'm going to be able to show everybody everything that happens when you do that. So I think I'm going to show you what it looks like in a different worksheet that's already complete. So here's this other class. And the class, each of these students has their own stuff. All of these students have their things, and they're all linked to a rubric that I've provided. So the rubric's up here. Only it's not. I can't show you that. All right. I'm sorry. I didn't have enough time. Just so I didn't forget, I'm going to share the presentation with you so that everybody has a copy of all the stuff that went on here. I will also upload the presentation. And then I'd like to just let you know that in addition to that, there's a thing about making quizzes with Google Forms, which is kind of useful. And there are 2 add-ons that are pretty good. One is called Super Quiz, which is a brand new, excellent Google add-on that works really well with if you have like true and false, or if you have anything that has a direct correct answer. Flubaroo also works really well. A lot of people were very happy with it. But the Super Quiz is sort of it's the next best thing, or the new best thing. So in order to share those with you, I just click over here on Share, and then I've already received all of your email addresses, so I'll just select them right here. I'm going to copy them. And I'll just paste them here. And I'm going to give you all view privileges. And I'm going to send that to you. And that's my gift to all of you. So now, if you filled out that form, you'll have received this little presentation, which has links, and you can see sort of what I've been doing in my class. I hope that at least the first part of my presentation gave you a couple of ideas about how to make your classes more student-centered. If you're interested in, like if I just didn't show you enough, I can definitely, if you send me emails back, I can direct you to different videos and different other resources that tell you how to get started with Doctopus and other things. The way it happened for me, somebody mentioned that they did it, I went and looked it up and I started using it. And it's just something that you kind of got to reach out and do. Yeah? Yes. Actually, probably the best way, well, 2 things, and I'll type right onto this thing, my email address, in case you want to send me something. So my email is that. Um, is that. So if you send me that, I can, if you can send an email to that address, I will answer any question that you, I promise, by tomorrow. I'll answer any question that you have about any of the stuff that I was doing today. And I'm really sorry that I couldn't make that script work. I was probably a little ambitious trying to think that I could make it happen in like 10 minutes. But I did want you to see sort of how it works, and if you give me, like, if you send me an email, I'd really like to give you a chance to try it. Thanks a lot for coming during your lunchtime, and have a great rest of the conference.